Okay, perfect. Give me a second. Today we will be building a resume. Okay. First things first, does anybody know what a resume is? Or would like to share what they think a resume is?
A resume is just kind of a compilation of like all your achievements, like where you went to school at, and then also like a history of like your past like employments and like some things that kind of went along with those and like the duties that were happened there.
Perfect. Yes. So, according to this definition, a resume is a one-page written summary of your education, work experience, activities, skills, etc. that shows an employer why you're a good fit for a job. So, some good qualities of a resume are that it's simple and clear, organized, professional appearance, consistently being updated, honest and relevant in your life, and then very accurate. You obviously don't want to lie on a resume because you don't want to overshoot yourself and then you get the job and it does not work out very well because you lied on your resume. So, now what we're going to do is we are going to bring up either Canva or Word, whatever works best for you, and find a template. You can just look up resume templates. I chose this one. This one's on Canva. So whenever you guys get that, if you could just give me a thumbs up, just so I know we're all on the same page. Okay, perfect. So depending on which one you used, you'll be able to see all the different parts of the resume. So you have your name, your contact information, your objective, or in some cases it might be the summary, your education, your work experience, skills, activities, awards, certifications, and volunteering. Depending on how much space you have on your resume, kind of dictates how many different categories there are. So that's obviously all up to you. If you don't have volunteering experience, you obviously don't have to put that on your resume, and so on. Okay, so the first section we're going to talk about is a contact information. So this includes your name, your phone number, your email, and then your address. So from my template, I put it in the corner over here, and I added all of that information into it. And then on my other one, I did not have a template. So this was just from a Word doc, and I set it up in this way. Regarding my address, I only put Lincoln, Nebraska on this one, and then I put an actual number address on this one. It all just kind of depends on how comfortable you are with your employer seeing your true address. They just want to know that you reside in the area or city or close enough for you to commute and get to work every day. So if you guys want to go through and fill that information out on your resume, and then give me a thumbs up whenever you have that completed. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So, and this is obviously extremely important to double check, triple check, just so you do get that right contact information for your employer. So make sure that it's all correct. And then the next part that we have is our objective or summary. It's a short statement. It's just one or two sentences that describes what job you're looking for and what skills you have that fit that job. This part can be very specific to what job you're applying for, and it can be the most difficult because it's your quick pitch of why you deserve that job. So on this slide, I put kind of an outline. So outline is state the role you want in the company you're applying to. So this says seeking work as a blank at blank, and then briefly mention your top skills, qualifications, or experiences that you have, and then explain what you hope to achieve or to contribute to the company. With this, you want to use skills that could potentially stand out to the employer so they see this sentence and your resume sticks out. For the first example, I put self-motivated team member seeking work as a blank at the business you want to work at, where I can use my leadership skills and experience to fulfill clients' demands and surpass their expectations. And then the one that I used on my actual resume was dedicated and enthusiastic educator who is seeking a secondary education business teacher position where I can use my experience to help students develop practical business skills and find a love for learning. So if you guys want to go through and kind of put a brief outline on your resume, feel free to do that. I know it can be kind of hard to think about depending on what job you're applying for. But also if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. So if you guys fill that out and then give me a thumbs up whenever you're done with that. Perfect. We'll keep it moving then. All right. So for the next section, we have our education. So this is super important to show that you do have experience. So it'll be where you attended or are attending school, your major, your potential minor, or I put an emphasis in what I wanted to be teaching, your graduation date / year, and then the GPA if applicable. So this is what I put on the template was where my education is in this little box, but then also down at the bottom is an example of how I set mine up for if it was just a Word document. If it's on a Word document, this will go underneath your objective. Obviously, you want it to be very clear so your employer can see everything that you've done and so on. And then depending on how much school you have done, you can put your high school education, your college education, your master's, PhD, stuff like that. So whenever you're done filling that out, feel free to do another thumbs up. Perfect. Okay. So the next step will be our work experience. So this part, if I go back to my actual end resume, this is our big part in the middle. You can see that there's a lot that goes into this, so it makes it very important. So this is any experience or internship experience that you've previously had or are still a part of. So the very top of it will just be the name of the business that you worked for, your job title, your location, and then the time frame you worked there. So where I worked was Crete Intermediate School. I was a summer school paraeducator. And then I was that during the month of June in 2025, and it was in Crete, Nebraska. If you look back on the resume that I have, this was my most recent job that I applied for and accepted, and am still working at this job. So I just put present on this job, but since this is the one that I most recently got accepted for, I put that one first. So you'll want to make sure that it goes in order of the time frame of when you worked there. Okay. So if you want to fill that in for the very beginning of the work experience part, and then let me know when you're done with that. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to dive into the bullet points that are underneath our work experience. So what you want in your work descriptions is, this is a few, 3 to 5 bullet points. The more the better, because that'll explain everything that you really did in that job, that summarize the quality of work you did at that specific job. So you'll start with an action verb, such as organized, led, managed, supported, collaborated, anything that describes what you did. If you're using past tense or present tense, make sure you use that for each bullet point. You don't want to say organized for one and then support for another one. That wouldn't make sense to the employer. And then in that same sentence, you'll describe what you did, and then you'll finish your sentence by explaining why you did that task. And then adding numbers and specific information will make your resume stand out because it shows specifically what you did. So I'll go through and show my example of this. So if I look at the first one, my first bullet point, it was provide support to students in grades 3rd through 5th to enhance their learning in the classroom. So provide was my action verb. And then what did I do? Support to students in grades 3rd through 5th. And then why did I do it? And I did it to enhance their learning in the classroom. So if you look at my second work experience, my first one was work with up to 5 other people to maintain a positive environment, which shows that I work well with others. But then the next, a couple ones down from that, is gather all the money earned at the end of each day by counting a money drawer to determine inventory. So that shows different ways that I work throughout this job. So it's really important to be very diverse through everything that you have done. If you guys want to go through and just do a couple bullet points, and again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. These can be kind of difficult to think of, though, because you obviously want to include as much as you possibly can on your resume. And then again, show a thumbs up whenever you're done with that. We can always come back to if need be. Perfect. Okay. So now for our skills. So this is where you will list abilities and strengths that make you suitable for the job. Skills, I feel like, is also very important because this is what makes you stand out, and you don't want to use basic ones, basic skills for your resume. So hard skills will be the specific teachable skills such as Microsoft Word, CPR and first aid, graphic design, POS, cash handling. And then I put a lot more examples on the next slide, so we'll look at those. And then our soft skills would be personal traits or habits, which will be like communication, problem solving, leadership, organization. I'm going to show, this is a long list of some hard skills, soft skills. I really recommend doing ones that'll stand out to the employer. Everybody's going to have teamwork, leadership, communication on there. So it's really important that you have these hard skills to make sure that your resume stands out to your employer. So if you guys want to go through and fill that out on your resume. And then go ahead and give that thumbs up whenever you've got that completed. Perfect. All right. So now we're moving into the part of our resume that these can be optional depending on how much room you have. At the end of my template, there was an extra thing for work experience, but because I had activities, I kind of switched around the template and made sure that I could put my activities in there. So that section is activities or awards. So this is where you highlight anything else you have done that will potentially appeal to the employer. So you'll put the name of the activity or the organization, the date of the activity, and then you'll use bullet points to separate each activity that you did. So this can be any current involvements you have, such as if you're applying for a job post-grad, you could say any involvements you had previously on your college campus, your school achievements, or then any previous work achievements. So currently I'm involved in a sorority on campus, so I put that I'm an active member of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Delta Gamma Kappa chapter sorority, and then I held a position in it. So I put that underneath. And then I ran out of room, so I went ahead and summarized it all in one bullet point. So just kind of everything that I did in my position. And then I went ahead and put the dates that I was both in the chapter and the position that I did. So if you guys have any activities you want to put into your template, feel free to. And then give me a thumbs up whenever you're done with that. Perfect. Okay, so the last little section is a volunteering. So this is optional. This is where you'll put any volunteering experience you have that relates to the job you're applying for. You can put this in different places on your resume, such as making a volunteering section if you have space, under work experience, or under activities and achievements. I did not have room for this on my resume because we want this to be one page. So I did not put that on there, but if you do have that, feel free to add it. I think volunteering is super important to show to your employer. So it's definitely really important to have this on your resume. And then if you have any extra things you want to put on your resume, feel free to do that. But at the end, it should all be put together like this and very clear and concise for your future employer. So that is my presentation. And yeah.